Zaffer presents Testament, written by Wilbur Smith with Mark Chadbourn, and read by Mark Meadows. Under the chilly gaze of the glittering stars, in the flickering glow of the flames from the burning farmhouse, Akan the child killer drew back his curved bronze sword to the fullest extent of his outstretched right arm. He paid little heed to the danger of exposing his chest to the short stabbing spear in the hands of the Egyptian soldier standing in front of him. He had no reason to worry. There was only raw fear in the other man's eyes, no raging defiance, no cool calculation. The Egyptian had good reason to be afraid. Akan's torso was so solid and his shoulders so broad and heavily muscled that he fought with the strength of a buffalo rather than a man. When he pulled his left arm hard behind his back, at the same time twisting his shoulders, swinging his right arm forward and putting the full force of his body behind the sweep of his blade, it sliced through the Egyptian's neck like a farmer's scythe through a sheaf of wheat. Akan watched as the head flew sideways. The body to which it had once belonged fell to the ground, blood spurting from the stump of its neck, to lie with the 3 other Egyptians whose lives Akan had already taken. On another night, Akan might now have ordered one of his men to cut off the right hands of his dead enemies, to be taken to the king's palace in the city of Avarice, where a warrior could expect a reward in gold for every man he slew in battle. But there was no time for that now. And besides, he was hunting something far more valuable. A month had passed since Akan had been summoned to the palace of Hammudi, king of the Hyksos, in the capital city of Avarice, on the banks of the Nile, not far from the waters of the great green sea. Merchants, travellers, and fortune-seekers came there from every corner of the mortal plain. All agreed that there was no city anywhere to compare with the size and magnificence of Avarice. The royal palace had been constructed high above the ground on a mighty stone pediment, as if to show the Egyptians whose lands the Hyksos now occupied that other men could match the pyramids of which they were so proud. The halls, chambers, galleries, and cloisters where the king and his viziers conducted the administration of their lands were arranged on the second tier, alongside the private chambers of the king, the royal family, and His Majesty's concubines. The magnificence of the throne room, where the king held his audiences, was of a piece with the rest of the building. The ceiling was higher than any Egyptian temple, the columns supporting it were mightier, the golden decoration more dazzling. This was a fitting chamber for a monarch proclaimed Lord of Strength by the grace of the supreme god Re. Yet, when King Hammudi summoned Akan, this vast chamber, capable of holding many hundreds of people, was virtually empty. The king was accompanied only by a dozen of his palace guards, his chancellor, and 2 of the most eminent and learned priests in the land. Akan saw immediately that one of the priests came from the temple of Re. That much was obvious from his garments and adornments. The other priest, it was equally clear to all those in attendance, represented the temple of Seth, the lord of the Red Land and god of storms, disorder.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?